Hello 8th grade, this is Mrs. Pancoke. Today we're going to start learning about presentations. So today's topic is planning an oral presentation. Today we will determine the purpose of a presentation, develop an audience profile, and create an outline, as well as evaluate visual aids. So first, you need to know how to determine the purpose of a presentation. A presentation is a talk or speech given to inform, persuade, or entertain. Good presentations do not just happen. They need a great deal of planning and preparation. It says you've probably heard that those who fail to plan to fail. That saying is particularly true with oral presentations. When planning a presentation, you need to consider the purpose of the presentation, the audience for the presentation, content of the presentation, and visual aids for the presentation. Before planning and preparing a presentation, you must know the purpose of the presentation. What are the goals you want to accomplish with it? Is it your goal to inform or to entertain? Do you want people who hear the presentation to take some action? Or do you want them to have different ideas or opinions after hearing the presentation? Answering those questions will help you to determine your goals. All right, so I have PowerPoint open, but I'm going to go ahead and it says to start Word, but we're going to open up our data file. So we need to go to our keyboarding folder, data files, and we're going to open up, it says DF66 purpose. Alrighty. Okay. Alright, so here is this document. Okay. Purpose of a presentation. And what you are going to do is it says that you are going to print the document and then you're going to close out of this file. Okay. So once you have printed this document, you go to File, Print, and we want to make sure it says East B-Lab Laser on CPS. If it doesn't, ask for help, but you're going to print this. And then what you're going to do is you are going to read the description of the presentation. Okay. So each of these has a different description. And in the left column of the document, and then in the right column, you're going to write one or more goals you think the speaker would want to accomplish with this presentation. So out of these 4 different presentations over here in this area, you're going to write what you think the goal of the presentation is. Okay, so is the goal to inform or entertain? Is the goal to make them take action? Do you want them to have different ideas or opinions after hearing the presentation? What is the goal of this presentation? So for this first one, and what I would say is you can either you could type it in here or you could freehand write. Either way is fine. But so this one says it is a talk given to principals and teachers requesting permission and funding to offer a first aid training program for students. So I would say that this is to inform and to get your audience to take some form of an action. So you want them to offer a first aid training program for students. So that would be what you would type in here. So to inform, to take action for offering a first aid training program. All right, so that is 66A. If we go on down to 66B, I'm going to close out of this and close out of that. It says, as you plan a presentation, you should consider the audience. The audience consists of people who will listen to your talk. You need to develop a profile or a description of your audience. To develop an audience profile, list some things you know about the people who will hear you talk. Answer questions such as these. Does the audience know a lot or a little about the topic you will discuss? If they know a lot about the topic, you can skip basic information and move on to advanced points. How many and how old are the people in your audience? You would not want to use the same words that talk to a third grade class as you would to talk to a group of parents. Is the audience likely to be open to new ideas? If not, you will need to be persuasive with the remarks you make during your presentation. Are the members of the audience listening by choice, or are they required to attend your talk? If they are required to attend, you'll need to create interest in your topic and be more entertaining than if they were there because of their own interest. Okay, so we're going to open up another data file. So I'm going to go to my Keyboard and 8 folder, data files, and this time we're going to open up 66 profile. Okay, this one is the audience profile. Okay, so same thing, you can either print this one out or you can just type it in here. And it says to read the descriptions of a presentation and complete a profile for each audience. Okay, so up here you're going to read this and then you're going to answer these questions based on the profile that you read above. Okay, and then type your answers in complete sentences. So once you have that done, that would be 66B, you can go on to 66C, which is creating an outline. So after you've considered the purpose and the audience, you need to choose the main points you will cover in the presentation. All of the main points should help you accomplish the goals of the presentation. Use the main points of your presentation to create an outline. Then add supporting points for each main point. Do not view the outline as your final when you are creating it. Think of it as a starting point that can be changed or rearranged as needed. As you develop an outline, keep in mind that a good presentation has 3 parts: an introduction, the body, and the conclusion. As a beginning presenter, you will find it helpful to write every word you plan to say in the presentation. This allows you to think through each point carefully. It gives you time to express ideas in complete sentences. However, you should not read from a script when delivering a presentation. Instead, use brief notes or the contents of slides to help you remember the points you want to discuss. Alright, so for this part, you will need to group up with 2 or 3 other students and plan the content for a presentation to your principal and teachers at a faculty meeting. The purpose of the presentation is to persuade the principals and teachers to offer a first aid training program for students. The course will be free to students, so the school will have to pay the instructor and the other costs related to the class. The course will be offered after school, one afternoon each week for 6 weeks. Okay, so you're going to start Word and open a blank document. So we're not even in PowerPoint yet. We're going to open up a blank Word document. Okay, and it says to create an outline using the points you want to make at the presentation to the principal and the faculty. Make sure to include an introduction, a body, and a conclusion in the outline. Limit the number of points covered in the body to 4 or 5. Okay, so what we would want to do is you'd want to type your name at the top, and whoever you're working with. And then I would title this First Aid Training Course. Okay, and then I would want to have an introduction. Then I'm going to just go down here and put in body, and then conclusion. Okay, so in here I'm going to use the numbered list. Okay, and I don't want to have any more than 5 main points. So for introduction, maybe you would want to talk about the purpose. So why is it important to have a first aid training class? And then under the body, you want to include some of those points that talked about in the description up here, such as, so I would come down to body and I would put in, a couple more main points, such as, free to students. Let's see. School pay for instructor, etc. Okay. And then in the conclusion, you might want to thank your people who are listening to you, and maybe close up your presentation. So the thing about this is that, let's say maybe here you might want to list how much it costs, the school. You know what, maybe actually I would move this down here. Okay, how much does it cost, etc. Okay. If you're having trouble trying to figure out how to outline your document, you can go back to chapter 5. Once you're done, you're going to save this document as 66 outline and save it to post to Schoology later on. So, you guys can come up with whatever you want for this. Maybe do some research on first aid to try to figure out what to do next. Okay? All right, so then once you have, typed up your outline, you also, I just want to make another point. You might also want to just explain what is the purpose for this class. Why do you think it would benefit students to have a first aid class? What kind of things do you expect to learn? So once you are done typing this, you are going to go on to 6060, and basically you're going to plan visual aids to use for the same first aid presentation. So first aid could be a picture from the internet. It could be a so if we go to the insert tab, it could be pictures, it could be smart art, it could be any shapes. PowerPoint also has those as well. So, you can insert pictures, shapes, smart art. What are the visual aids going to be? You are going to create another blank document. Make sure you include your name at the top, and this is going to be your visual aids document. So you're going to consider visual aids you might need for your first aid presentation. You may want to include clip art or photos that relate to first aid, such as block arrows to emphasize main points, smart art diagrams to show progress. And you're going to key a list of your ideas relating to visual aids, ideas to specific parts of your outline if possible. Okay, So maybe if it were me, I would list or find some pictures that relate to first aid. I would say you would want about at least 5 pictures to use for your visual aids. Okay, so you're just going to either go out and search for them, or you could use shapes. So like this cross kind of represents first aid if I changed it to red. Okay, and then I could type inside of it and say first aid. Those kinds of things are what you can use for visual aids. So you can work on this and plan this with your group, and then save it and then turn it into Schoology.